Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. Behind the Closed Doors. Episode 2. Chapter 11. Unknown POV. It's been more than a week and he has not come back yet. I think he is dead. Did you plant the tracker on him like I asked you, Tracy? Looking down and fumbling with notes, she looked up at me and said, I did not thought I could catch him before you let him out. I stood up and slapped the table, making Tracy jump back, dropping some papers. Make sure you put a tracker in this one and get him ready for stage 3 injections. I am running out of patience and time. I got up and left. You don't even know what she looks like and you are still trying to find her? You have threatened every pack around here and no one seems to know anything, not even her old pack. She has to be somewhere, Storm. She is my daughter. I created her and made her into what she is. I mean she can take down a king and not break a sweat. That is why they took her. Our maid paid the price for what you have done. And I'm going to fix that no matter how. Zack POV. How can no one know where he is? He couldn't just have fallen off the face of the earth. We searched everywhere Alpha and there is no trace of him. Dwayne, you as a beta should know that no one can just vanish. We found something interesting though. That girl they are looking for comes from the Greyville Stone Pack, but she is also missing. No one knows where she went. How do you know that? Justin found a lead and he went to check it out and came back saying that it was her, but that pack had been attacked like ours. The Luna and Alpha are dead like every other pack the rogues have attacked. It's like they are sending a message. Well, they have to be somewhere and we have to find them. I walked out of my office. The last few months have been a nightmare. Even since my parents died. Everything went wrong that could go wrong. We have been having attacks left, right and center by wolves and creatures we have never seen or even heard of. Half human, half wolf. And they are very hard to kill. By the time they nearly wiped out my pack, we only managed to kill one and when he died he never shifted back to his human form. I know Zanan hates me for what I did to him and I know he will never see my side of the story because not even my father wanted to believe me. My father just wanted him out of this pack because he is dangerous and ruthless. But killing his mate, well, that was my fault. I knew my father would never allow her to leave because he wanted Zanan to suffer. So I am just as guilty as he is. Someone came up to me and injected me with something and I went limp. My body fell to the floor paralyzed and someone just kept asking questions and I had no stop telling him everything he wanted to know, and everything he wanted to know was about Zanan. I heard a lot of growling and a lot of ripping and then I smelled blood. I couldn't see anything, just hear. I heard a fierce growl and smelled Zanan, but he smelled different. And it was weird because he was the only one I had smelled apart from my sister and some other she-wolf. They bent over me and gave me another injection and it was like my body just came to life. I got to my feet and saw a black wolf lying over my sister and that is when I screamed because I didn't know it was Zanan. I mean no one had ever seen his wolf and when he looked at me his eyes were so green it was almost glowing. Everyone else was out on a pack run. Then why was he here? Needless to say, it didn't end well. After he was thrown out, we were on our guard for years and he never came back. I tried to find that guy that drugged me that day and I couldn't come up with anything. The only thing I saw was he had a scar from the top of his head over his left eye and down his chin. I went over this many times in my head and my dad actually made me feel like I was crazy and told me that it's my mind's way of making peace with the fact that Zanan killed Alicia. So it's my mind's way of coping, but I have never believed that because I know what happened that day. As for his mate, well, that was me trying to punish him for what he has done to this family and how he broke it. Zanan POV I have been in my office for hours and I cannot find anything about the girl and I have no idea who she is. I've had a hard time sleeping knowing that my mate doesn't care what I do and that she doesn't want me, by the looks of it. I have been blocking my wolf out for weeks now and I can feel him getting angrier and angrier, but if I let him out now he will kill all the she-wolves I have slept with, not that I would mind, but that would be murder. Sitting in my office with another whiskey, I thought about what Delia had said. I do trust this pack. That is why I do not want them involved in this. There was a knock on the door and before I could open, Christy came in. She looked breathtaking, wearing a short black dress that showed her long lean muscled legs. The same pair that broke my ribs. I looked at her face and realized she had makeup on but not much. What can I help you with? I asked, trying to sound as if she didn't affect me. I'm going out, and as the alpha I just thought you should know. I looked at her and narrowed my eyes. You are not leaving wearing that. She took a step closer and opened the door a bit wider. Oh, but I am. Besides, I already have your next picked out for you. A she-wolf came in wearing a too short dress and her face was plastered with makeup. I swear it will stain the pillows. I even dressed her myself, seeing as though you like them slutty, willing and very easy to dispose of. I got up from my chair and chased the she-wolf out and slammed my office door shut. I turned and looked at Christy and stalked closer to her. You want me to do you like I do them, Do you want me to spill my seed all over you or in you? Tell me, will you take it from behind or the old-fashioned way? I asked, lowering my voice to a bedroom drawl, looking at her reaction which told me more than she would like to admit. I saw her pressing her thighs together and licking her lips, so I walked closer to her and put my hand on her arm and spun her around. Before she could protest, I had my hand around her throat squeezing tightly but not too tight. I lowered my head and inhaled her scent. Is this what you want? I asked. I pushed her away from me and laughed. I hope you have fun tonight. I said and looked at her eyes, which were telling a story that instantly made me feel like the douche I am. She walked out of my office and closed the door. I stood by my office window, which was looking out onto the front yard, but I never saw Christy leaving. Instead, I saw only a bonfire and wolves dancing having fun. So I left my office and went outside. As soon as I got outside, I was sidetracked by Delia. She actually did it, hey? She got you out of the office quicker than any of us thought. What do you mean? I asked, confused. Christy said that you work too much so she went to fetch you to come and join us, but here you are and she is not. What is she playing at? I asked myself. She was never leaving. I narrowed my eyes and excused myself from the fire and went to look for her. I searched the whole house and she was nowhere. Her room is also empty and some of her clothes are missing. I ran outside looking for Zane and Kyle. I found them at the edge of the woods talking to Tommy. Where is she? I asked as I got closer. Where is who? Zane asked, confused, looking at me as if I had gone crazy. Christy, where is she? She left, said she had some things to do and people to go and see. She also said that she didn't know when she'd be back. Kyle said, and I just lost it. I know I wasn't fair to her, but now I cannot even protect her. I went into the house and into my bedroom, slamming the door. Crystal POV I spent hours getting ready for this bonfire we were setting up and I have no idea why I even wanted to do that. I finally decided on a black dress hanging just above my knees with long sleeves. I put my hair into a high pony and put a little bit of makeup on. When Delia told me from what pack he was, it was like my memory just suddenly came back. Everyone knows the story but no one ever knew his name or surname. I did some thinking and I understand why he is doing what he is doing, and that doesn't make it right. So I retaliated and created the perfect little slut for him just the way he likes. A lot of makeup and a very, very short dress. I went down and didn't see him, so I spoke to Delia, Zane, and Kyle and they made a bet. If I can get him out here in a few minutes, they will take as many shots as I want them to, but if not, then I will take what they give me. Finding him in his office and presenting my gift to him went exactly as I had planned, but when he started talking like that to me, my body responded even though I was shouting at myself in my mind. He has the bedroom voice I have ever heard. When my back pressed against his chest, I froze for a second and then the feeling was gone. And so was I. I left. I didn't go back to the bonfire. Instead, I went to my room and packed a bag. I think it's time I tried and find out who is after us. I had everything I needed so I teleported myself to my small little townhouse on the outskirts of Paris close to the woods. I took a day and caught up on some sleep and then I got to work. I was planning to go see the elders but decided against it. Instead, I went to an old friend's. He used to be in my old pack, but he got into college here in Paris and left after my father got buried. He is 4 years older than me but he has been my best friend ever since I can remember. I rented a car and drove right to his front door, being greeted by a lot of angry-looking wolves because I was trespassing. I switched off the car and got out smiling at a young group of pups playing on the field. I looked over at a very tall, handsome man around the same age as Zanan and smiled at him. "I'm sorry to come unannounced but I'm here to see Tyler Gray please." He looked at me and I saw his eyes glaze over and then he said follow me. Delia POV what is going on here? I asked as soon as I entered Zanan's office. Everything is trashed and broken. Glass is scattered on the floor, books everywhere and he looks like he hasn't slept in days. Ever since the night of the bonfire he has lost it and no one knows why, and he won't tell anyone. He has gone from friendly to unapproachable in days. Where is she? It has been more than a week now and she is still not back. Where is who, Zanan? I asked and just as I said it, realization dawned on me. He was talking about Christy. I stood there confused. Why would her being gone upset you so much Z? He looked at me and then something just snapped, her asking about him and him being this messed up because she was gone. I walked over and slammed the door shut. Zanan, what is going on? He looks at me and dragged his fingers through his hair. Zanan, you better start talking or I will leave and you will never see me again. We are best friends and lately you are treating me like I'm a stranger. I looked at him and then he said, she is my mate D and I just wanted to keep her safe because of everything that is happening and now I have gone too far. I stood there shell-shocked at what he was saying, so you want to tell me you have been like a rabbit knowing she is your mate? I half screamed at him, but looking at the pain in his eyes I instantly felt bad. Yes, and I hit her, but I pushed her away and now she is gone. Zanan, how could you do this? Have you any idea what she might have been going through? Can you even imagine the pain? I know okay, but I don't want a mate if she is just going to be taken from me again or if I'm going to die anyway. I can't even tell you how angry I am at you. If someone ever did this to me, I would reject him so fast. As I said that, he looked at me and it was written all over his face, you want her to reject you. He got up and moved to the window. And I don't know if I can fix this, and I don't know if I want to D. I stood there staring at him and I know how he must feel, but this is still not right. Zanan, from what I've seen, Christy didn't have an easy life. When we were dressing for the bonfire, I went up to go and call her, but I saw her door was half open and heard her humming, so I stood still. And I know it was wrong, but I peeked inside and I saw scars, and a lot of them just before she put the dress on. And I cursed myself, but then a lot of things made sense. She never wears shirts with straps, she never undresses in front of someone, and she stiffens when someone touches her. So maybe find out where she comes from before you are so quick to judge. Zanan looked at me and something in his mind must have gone off because he just nodded his head. I helped him clean his office and then saw a picture of a small girl. She was about 11 years old with blonde hair and blue eyes. I couldn't get myself to throw this away. I know I cannot change what happened, I just wish it could have happened differently. You still miss her? Every day of my life I think about her and wish she could still be here. I turned the picture around and it read, to my loving brother Zanan, from Alicia. I put the picture back and got up from the floor. Zanan, I love you so much, but what you are doing is not right or healthy. You need to give her a chance or try to. I left his office not waiting for a reply. I headed to my room and crept in beside Jeff. He threw his arms around me and I fell asleep thinking about Christy and what I saw. Crystal POV moving through the house. It is huge, almost as big as our pack house. We came to a stop in front of a door looking very old but beautiful. The guy knocked and a deep voice on the other side said, "Come in." When he opened the door, I was staring at my beautiful best friend who looked like he was drowning in paperwork. He looks up and sees me, but he doesn't know it is me. "Thank you, Andy, you can go," he said and looked at me once again. His hair is a darker brown and he has gotten more tanned and a lot more muscles, but his eyes still look the same. "Please take a seat and tell me why you are here, uninvited." He emphasized on the uninvited part. I looked at him and smiled, then said, "You really don't remember me, Goofy?" I asked and saw him looking at me, really looking. He got up and walked closer to me. "See, is that you?" he asked, and all I could do was smile and nod my head. I ran into his arms and hugged him for dear life, and he hugged me back. "OMG, I can't believe it's you. You have changed so much." I let go of him and said, "Yeah, look who's talking. I mean, what happened to you?" He twirls around and asked, "You like it? It took me to become alpha to get this shape, you know. And, of course, my mate." I looked at him shocked. "Your mate? When did you find your mate? And tell me, is he cute?" "Of course he is. You know me always drooled over the hot ones and now I have one for myself." I smiled at him and told him how happy I was that he had found his mate. We spent hours catching up and I met his mate, Chris. He is handsome and very friendly. We hit it off pretty well. I told him what happened to me when he left and that I died and came back looking like a totally different person. I told him about Zanan and what he is. We were sitting and having coffee over something to eat when I looked over at Tyler and said, "I need your help, Ty. You are the best person I know and I cannot ask anyone else." He looked at me and squeezed my hands. "What do you need, honey? I have a sample that I would like you to analyze for me. It comes from a wolf, but somehow he has been mechanically enhanced, bigger, stronger, and faster. Whoever is looking for me and Zanan probably sent him and I was hoping you could tell me something that could help me. Do you have it with you?" I took out a small vial from my pocket and handed it to him. He looked at it and said, "Are you sure this is blood? I mean, I wouldn't question you, but this is black." I grabbed back the vial and looked at the blood. It was thicker and, yes, it was black. "What is this?" I asked myself and I felt disappointed. "Can you work with this?" "I don't know, but I will do what I can." I owe you so much, Tai, but I have to go. I'll see you soon. See. Please be safe until we know more about whoever is looking for you. I will. Goofy, love ya. Zanan POV. After Delia left, I was left alone with my thoughts. Everything she said about Christy is true, and she never shows her upper arms or her back. Even her dress had long sleeves. I need to find out what she is hiding when she comes back. If she comes back, a small voice in the back of my mind said. I have been going through every pack in the area's database, and in all of the ones who have been attacked, the Alpha and Luna are dead. There is a random pattern and it doesn't make sense, because who is the girl? My pack told them about me and no other pack was harmed, but here a string of packs are missing their Alpha and Luna. That must be the girl they are looking for. I thought and started searching every database for a girl named Delia. After hours of searching, I finally found a match. It's a girl with black hair and green eyes with a tattoo of a raven on her right shoulder. She looks so young and innocent. Why would anyone be looking for her? I read through the pages and found nothing valuable. Her parents were dead, she had finished school, no friends so to speak of, and she had no other living relatives. It's quite sad if you ask me. Zanan, you have to wake up. Zanan, you are dreaming and this is not real. Zanan, you have got to wake up. I jolted upright in my bed, sweat dripping off me. It's been a while since I have been dreaming about the woman who saved me, and every time she wakes me up is just before I kill my whole pack for what they have done. I walked to the bathroom and took a shower and got ready for training. Coming out of my room, I looked over at Christy's room and wished for her to come back. It has been 2 weeks now and she is not back. I made my way downstairs and found Delia eating ice cream. Good morning, Dee, I said, and she almost choked. I patted her back. What, Z? You could have killed me. I doubt that, Dee, but if you say so, why are you up so early? Well, I was hungry and I couldn't sleep, so I thought I would get an early start on training. Zanan, it's 4:50 in the morning and training doesn't start until 6, so why are you up so early? I told you I couldn't sleep. Delia gave me a look and just shrugged her shoulders. She knows me better than anyone in this whole world and I love her like a sister. I have no idea what I'm going to do about Christy, but something has to be done, and there is the girl. I grabbed something to eat and made my way towards my office feeling drained. Keeping Blaze locked up is taking up most of my energy and I don't think I will be able to keep him locked up for much longer. I stepped into my office and found my door open. I never leave the door open. I stepped inside and closed the door. Taking a deep breath, I sat down and picked up the photo of Delia. Looking at it closely, I realized something. I saw her before in one of the pack meetings when I was young. Crystal POV. I've been here at the Moon Shadow Pack for just over 2 weeks now and I love being here. I never knew that I missed Tyler this much, and his mate is amazing. So friendly and welcoming, it feels like home. I was lying on the grass looking at the sun when I heard Tyler calling me. He had been analyzing the sample I gave him and he found nothing, just that whatever the wolf was injected with was a death sentence. See, you might want to come and check this out. I got up and went to Tyler's office. The place reeked of chemicals that actually burned my nose. What have you found? Well, not much, but I did find the same genes in this one as in the one I found in your blood. You know to compare it with. So I took some of my blood and I appeared perfectly normal. I looked at him dumbstruck and watched as he showed me different slides with different blood. And it's true. What does this mean, Tyler? Whoever made this 1C also may have had a hand in creating you. I couldn't speak, so I left and teleported myself back to Greyville Stone Pack. As I walked through the place, it looked like a hell hole. Everything is upside down and the grass is overgrown and the training field is empty. If someone knew something, I bet it would be May and Rodney. They died, Crystal. Why can you not get that and just leave? Sitting opposite Roland and Natasha, I can't believe what they are saying. Did they leave anything for me that you know of? I asked, trying hard not to show emotion. Roland got up and walked over to a safe behind the bookcase. He removed a large brown box and handed it to me. This is all we could find, but there is no key. I took the box and left, teleporting myself back to the Moon Shadow Pack. I looked at the box and the keyhole was not a normal key, it almost looked like something round with a sharp pin-like point in the middle. Why do these patterns look so familiar? Your necklace is the key. I put the box down and removed my necklace. It has the same shape and symbols as the box. All I found in the box were 2 notes. One was from someone named Eliza and the other from my father. I picked one up from Eliza and read it. If you find this, then that means your parents died and I'm so very sorry for your loss. You don't know me but I am Queen Eliza Cork and I want to explain a few things to you. Please phone me and we can meet or you can come here. There was a number and a royal invitation to the kingdom. I picked up the note from my father and started reading. When we found you, we found a letter and I put it in this box. And if you are reading this, that means you knew the necklace was the key. I am so proud of the woman I could see you grow up into and I'm sorry I cannot be here for your first shift, but I would have loved to see the amazing wolf you are. I hope you find who you are and I love you. Sincerely Dad. I sat there letting the tears fall freely and decided what I was going to do. I left the room and went to Tyler's office. Ty, I know where I have to go, and what I have to do. But I'm leaving today. He looked at me and I saw his face drooping. I just got you back, see? I showed him the note and his eyes went huge. We don't want the Queen waiting too long now, do we? I grabbed my stuff and teleported myself as close to the kingdom as possible. I've never been there, so I cannot go there directly. I can only teleport myself to a place I've actually been. It took me about 10 minutes to get to the front gates of the kingdom. I was greeted by 2 guards and gave them the invitation and they let me in, accompanying me to the front door. I knocked and waited. The door opened, revealing a tall blonde woman, maybe in her late 50s. She looked at me and showed me in. My name is Delia and I'm here to see Queen Eliza, please. I said and just received a very shocked look from the woman. She looked at me and then said, "You have changed so much, child. And I am Queen Eliza. And I'm very happy you came. I'm very sorry about your parents and the circumstances we have to meet in." I bowed and said thank you. She led me to a small room where we had tea and talked about random things. I told her about my parents and about my life before it went badly. "I know you were killed, Crystal." I looked at her shocked and not sure what to say. There was a faint knock on the door and a man came in. "Sorry to disturb you, but you called for me, my love." "Yes, I have. Please come take a seat and meet Delia." When he came in, I was shocked into silence. He looked exactly like Zanan, just in an older version with grey hair and many more laughing lines beside his eyes. I got up and bowed to him. We shook hands and sat down again, but I cannot take my eyes off of the resemblance. "Do you have a grandson?" I put my hands over my mouth and looked down. "I am so sorry," I said. And looked up. When I looked at them they were both staring at me. "Why do you ask that, Crystal?" the king asked. I bit my lower lip and said, "You just remind me of someone I know, my king." Queen Eliza looked at me and I saw a slow smile on her face. We have a son but we have no idea where he is. We gave him up for his safety as we did for you, Crystal. I looked at her and asked, what do you mean? You were once part of the Kingdom Pack, as was your biological mother and father. Your father was the head beta and your mother was a female beta. We were a family until your father started looking worse and worse and worse, like he wasn't sleeping, and then you were born and I was there the day you were born. Your father stole you out of the hospital and we didn't find you until weeks after. When we found you, you were bigger, almost the size of a 1-year-old, but you were only 1 month old. Your father experimented on you to create the perfect wolf, strong, fast, fearless, and almost impossible to kill. We never knew what he did to you but, your mother and I made the decision to get you out of here where he will not find you and that is what I did. I left you in the woods near Greyville Stone Pack and waited for someone to spot you and a lovely woman and her mate found you. I checked in on you many times but stopped when I was being followed. I am so sorry that we could save you sooner, Crystal. I looked at them almost void of any emotion. You said I reminded you of someone, the king said and was looking at me. His name is Zanan Black and he has this safe house for rogues, the good kind. He lives deep in the forest where no one ever goes to, the house Odin Cork once lived in. When I said that name, they went silent and I regretted saying anything. Our son had a child, and before he found out, we helped the girl get out from under his abuse, but he found her and killed her, but Zara took the child and hid him, not even we knew the pack he had been taken to. I'm sorry I brought it up. Don't be, child. But how do you know him? He is my second chance mate, I said, and then the room went quiet. I now know why I am different from every other wolf and I'm not sure how I should feel. The fact that my father killed my mother and experimented on me makes me hate a man I have never met before. Rogues are looking for us. Why would they be looking? They looked at me and the queen nodded her head as if giving permission to something. We heard about the increase of rogue attacks and the death of every Alpha and Luna. We have no proof but we think your father is looking for you and Zanan because the two of you together are stronger than 1,000 rogues or 500 highly trained warriors. This is too much information for my brain to take. So Zanan is the rightful heir to the throne and my psychopathic father is looking for us. We need to go home. Seems like we do. I'm sorry, but I have to go. I haven't been home in more than 2 weeks and I am tired of all this drama. Of course, child, but please do not tell Zanan about any of this. He will know when the time is right. I smiled at them and gave my word and from there I teleported myself into my bedroom and fell on top of my bed. Why is my room smelling like Zanan? I locked my door and took a shower feeling fresh and new and then made my way downstairs. I am hungry and edgy because I haven't had a run in a long time. Stepping into the kitchen, all eyes were on me. Where have you been? I heard that deep voice that sent shivers down my spine. I looked over my shoulder and there he stood, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Doesn't matter. I'm here for now. You're leaving again? Zane asked, coming in. Yes. I have to go see a friend in Paris. You are not leaving here without my permission and you don't have it. I looked at Zanan and shrugged my shoulders. I don't need to because you don't own me, in fact no one does. He took a few steps closer to me and gripped my shirt from the back, tearing it right down the middle and the front. I heard gasps and saw everyone staring at me and I looked down. All my scars are visible at the front, my shoulders, my chest, and on my stomach. I turned around looking at Zanan with tears in my eyes and said, "Is this what you wanted, Zanan?" I took my shirt off completely and did a slow turn for him to see. I looked him in the eyes and he had regret and pain written all over his face. I wish I never got a second mate. was all I said and teleported myself to my quiet spot on the edge of the woods. And that is where I cried my heart out for everything. I've never cried this much in my life, and at this moment I hate myself for it, for allowing Zanan to make me feel weak and broken. Zanan POV. I was done waiting, so I locked myself up in the dungeons and let Blaze out. He was furious with me and he took control, shifting, trying to break down the silver bars, but ended up draining his energy instead. He kept shouting at me and growling at the world. I told you this would happen, Zanan. And I told you what I would do. I know, and I want to fix it, Blaze. That is the only reason I even let you out. You had S*X with other girls, Zanan, you hurt my mate. Do you think she will forgive you? I don't know, I'm waiting for her to come back. She left? He shouted and gave a roar loud enough to shake the bars on the gates. Not long after, Delia came running in to take a look at Blaze and then shook her head. Blaze roared and she was forced down onto one knee, and that is where I drew the line. Your fight is with me. Leave Delia out of this, Blaze. Open the gate, Zanan. No, not until you hear me out. I gave you a chance to adjust to our mate, not break her more. What do you mean more? Forget it. You better hope she comes back or you will sleep for a long time, Zanan. That was the last thing he said before he blocked me off and I shifted back to my human form. I looked at Delia and smiled a sad smile. She opened the gate for me and handed me her jacket. Or should I say Jeff's jacket? What happened, Zanan? I let Blaze out only to find that our mate is missing and that I have been having S*X with other she-wolves. Zanan, he will kill every one of them. Delia said, and we walked into the house. The first thing I smelled was my mate and followed the scent into the kitchen. Where have you been? I asked, sounding as angry as I felt. I haven't slept in days and I am in no mood to take crap from her. She looks at me and just says doesn't matter. I'm here for now. You're leaving again? Zane asked, coming in from behind me looking like he had just gotten bad news. Why would that bother him if she left again? Yes. I have to go see a friend in Paris. You are not leaving here without my permission and you don't have it. I said, and looked straight at her. She is doing nothing to lighten my mood, but she is pushing me to my limits. I don't need to because you don't own me. In fact, no one does. That was the last bit of self-control I had and it just slipped. I walked closer to her and grabbed the back of her shirt. My intention was to spin her around, but instead, I ripped her shirt right down the middle at the front. I stood there not sure what to do or what to say because I didn't mean for this to happen. When I heard the reaction most had around us, I looked down to where they were all starting. When my eyes landed on the scars at the top of her shoulder and her chest. She took off her shirt and did a slow turn for me and then looked at me, and it was the first time I ever saw tears in her eyes. The first time I really saw any emotion, in fact. And I didn't know what to do or say. Is this what you wanted, Zanan? She asked me and then looked into my eyes as she said the following, I wish I never got a second mate. And it felt like my whole world came undone and I was feeling worse than when my first mate died. I saw her moving away and before I could say anything she was gone, like disappeared. What have you done, Zanan? Delia asked me and I couldn't even answer her because I myself didn't know what I had done. I looked everywhere for her but she was gone. How did she do that? I asked Blaze, but he was not talking to me. Honestly, I don't blame him. I gave up and went to sit outside hoping I would see her come in or even hear her. Delia POV. I was sitting in the kitchen with Zane and Kyle. We were all shell-shocked as to what had just happened. So Zanan knew she was his mate even before he started banging every slut? Zane asked and Kyle slapped his head. Think about it, he never used to be like this until she came along. He never even used to look at a she-wolf and all of a sudden he is banging everyone he can get his hands on. Guys, listen. You are not helping this. Can everyone just stay out of his business? He has enough trouble with Blaze. They looked at me as if I was speaking in tongues. What are you looking at? You knew, didn't you? Zane half stated, half asked. I looked down. Zane told me the night of the bonfire, the night Christy left. I pushed my chair back and went off to find Zanan. I eventually found him sitting on the roof above Christy's window and he looked like shit. Zanan, what are you doing here? I just want to see if she gets back safely. Why did you do that? I didn't mean to, Delia, I was just mad. I've been working so hard for her to reject me and tonight, hearing what she said, I didn't want to fight her anymore. I want her and I want to make everything up to her. Why Zanan? You never even took a moment to find out anything about her. Delia, I know. And I hate myself for what I have done, and I swear if I ever learn the name of who did that to her, they will beg for death. I was sitting with Zanan until he eventually fell asleep due to grief. I sat there looking at the start when I felt someone sit down next to me and looked to my left. You're back. I just needed some time. But yeah, I'm back. For now. I looked at Christy and I could see she had been crying, but I didn't ask. Is it okay if I sit with you for a moment? Of course. And I'm sorry about what Zanan did to you. She smiled and said it's not your fault and I'm not mad at him, just the way he grabbed me. I am more hurt than mad. I just looked at her, not sure what to say. And then, as if in a split second, I blurted out, how did you disappear like that? I have a gift, well, more like my wolf does. It's called teleportation. I can go anywhere in the world as long as I have been there before. That is so cool. So anything else up your sleeves? I can also see memories. Wait, what? How? Well, my wolf makes a connection with other people's minds and it's like a movie that is playing off in my head. But I don't do it often. It gives me a headache. She speaks like it is the most normal thing to do and here I am feeling out of place. Relax, Delia, I am one of a kind actually. I just found that out today. What do you mean? I left searching for why rogues are looking for Zanan and Crystalia. How do you know about that? I asked, half shocked. I visited my old pack. I looked at her for a second longer before I said good night and left for my room. I don't think I have ever been this tired. Zara POV. I have been keeping an eye on everything and Zanan. He is the future king after all. I know that Crystal went to see the king and queen and she told them about Zanan and now I have to make sure they stay safe. Crystal still has a lot to learn and Zanan has demons to fight. I don't know why he would hurt her like that. I thought he would be happy to have found her. I am sitting in a tree where I can see them lying on the roof with Zanan sleeping and Crystal looking at the stars. I need to ask her why she is always looking at the stars. I mentally told myself. I sat and listened to crickets and insects when I heard paws not far from the tree I was in. I looked down and spotted a wolf, a very ugly looking one. I jumped onto its back and put it to sleep quickly. I then used a spell that removed the wolf from this side of the woods and into the middle of the ocean. I've seen all the more and more of these ugly wolves and decided it's time I paid a visit to the kingdom and informed them of what was happening. Unknown POV. I banged the table as I got up and left the room. Another subject died. If I can just get a sample of her blood, then she can live her fairytale life and I will create my own army. Donovan, this has to stop. We have used all the rogues we could get and we are out. Find more and find out why it's not working or I will use you next. I said to Tracy and saw her running off. Not one of the beasts I had sent out came back and they fell off the map a few miles north of the ocean. I followed the map from the start to the finish, but I got lost. I have never been to this part of the woods and it is not on the map either. I turned around and went back. This has got to stop, my love. I swung around and like every time, there was nothing there. You should still be here. It wasn't your fault. I killed you. I murdered the person I love the most for what? They will pay for what they did. I should have taken you away when I found you. I realized I was shouting at nothing but air and I went inside and slammed the door. Tracy, is it ready? I am done waiting now. Yes, it's done, and his vitals are stable. There are no signs of rejection. Keep him for observation and take a blood sample. Tomorrow he will go out and make sure he has a tracker on him. Where he goes I will follow. I will find her tomorrow and then I will find him. Zane POV. If I had known that Christy was Zanian's mate I wouldn't have let my wolf grow accustomed to her. I haven't found a mate yet and I don't think I will, but I'm hopeful now that I know Christy already has Zanian. Maybe it's like a sign, someone telling me to wait, and that is what I will do. Seeing Christy's body so broken and the pain in her face, I wish I could tear Zanian's arms off. How could he do that to her? How could he hurt her so much? I was on my way to my room when I stopped and looked out the hallway window at the trees. When will I find my mate? We will find her when the time is right. Yeah, we will. In my bedroom I couldn't help but think of the day I broke my ankle for Christy. I mean, I trust her and that is why I did that, and because she sounded serious when she said I had to create a diversion. I saw her running and then I stepped into a hole, twisting my body a bit, and heard my ankle snap. Everyone stopped running but Christy was already gone. What is she up to? When she came to see me in the hospital she looked tired and she had dirt on her clothes. Where have you been? I asked her and she just smiled and said it's all taken care of, you should rest. And she left, leaving me confused. Even weeks after, I still wonder what she saw because she was so focused that she didn't even hear me when I was right next to her. Crystal POV. Sitting on the roof with Zanian and watching him sleep made me think of everything I ever wanted in someone, and I realized that he is everything I ever wanted. Even the pain he caused me. I overheard him and Delia talking and my gut was right. I knew I should hate him but I didn't. I just feel sorry for him. Me of all people know what type of damage your mate can do, but I never thought that I would have a second chance. I looked up at the stars and closed my eyes. When I opened them again, I saw through my wolf's eyes and it was the most amazing picture anyone could ever see. I heard Zanian groaning and sitting up. You're back. I looked over at his face and I just smiled. He looks so cute. Yeah, I just needed some time. I said, looking at him, and I saw his face drop. He had every emotion visible in his eyes. He looks so torn and broken. I'm so sorry for what I did. I didn't mean to. I was just angry at myself and then at you because you left and came back just to leave again. Zanian, we need to talk because this going back and forth isn't working for me. I said and saw his whole body stiffen. Please don't reject me, I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. He said, and I saw a tear slip from his eye and felt bad instantly. I lifted my hand and caught the tear with my thumb and turned his face so he could look at me. I'm not going to reject you, that wasn't even on my mind and it isn't now. I said, and he had me in his arms pressed up against him in a hug that I never even knew existed. It was so intimate and real. I laid my head on his chest and listened to his heartbeat. Zanan, we really do have to talk, please. He let go of me and I sat facing him. I left because I know rogues are looking for you and me, I said and saw the confusion on his face. They are looking for a girl named Crystalia, he said, still confused. I fumbled with my hand and said, I know, my name is Crystalia Stone. I lied and made a name up because I didn't want to risk anyone else getting hurt, but when I learned who you are I had to find out who is tearing the packs apart and why. He just looked at me and then he looked away. So you lied about your name, what else did you lie about? That sentence hit me right in the heart. Nothing, and I didn't lie, Zanan, I just didn't tell you because you gave me no reason to trust you, I said, and his eyes flickered with anger. Why are you angry? I asked, and he just started laughing, but it sounded forced. I got up to leave when Zanan pulled my arm forcefully and pulled me down. You are not leaving, he said, and his grip on my arm became tighter and it started to hurt. Zanan, let go of me, you are hurting me, I said, half pleading. He just looked at me and squeezed harder. I will do what I please with you. Zanan, POV, I will do what I please with you, I said, and watched as her face grew harder, trying to hide her pain. I pulled her down lower and said, so where did you go? I asked, half accusing her. She straightened up as best she could and smirked at me before saying, I hope you land on your feet. And she gripped my arm with her other hand and threw me off the roof like I weighed nothing. I landed on the ground solid on my pack with a loud oomph. I looked at her and saw her smiling at me. I got up off the ground and shifted to my wolf, watching her surprised expression. I was snarling at her and she came down. Is this really what you want, Zanan? She asked, and I nodded my big wolf head. She took a fighting stance and motioned for me to come at her, but instead I sat right down. She had to shift to make the fight even. She shook her head and just stared at me. I saw her eyes go hazy. She must be talking to her wolf. I waited and then she smiled at me and started taking her clothes off. I was staring shamelessly at all she was displaying and, luckily for her, I was in wolf form. She looked at me and smirked before she said, Are you sure you want to do this, Zanan? She asked, and I nodded my head. I saw her eyes change before she closed them and shifted. To say I was amazed would be an understatement. I was shocked and speechless. Her wolf is snow white with a black raven on her right shoulder, and that is when I knew she is Crystalia Stone. She took a step forward and opened her eyes. One eye is a blue-green color and the other is a deep purple, and her wolf is huge, even bigger than mine. Her one paw is the size of two of mine. What is she? She is our mate, who you just challenged. I know, but what is she? Find out. And then he cut me off and I was left alone in wolf form with a wolf more than half my size. Delia POV. I heard growling and teeth snapping coming from outside and I thought we might be under attack. I jumped out of bed and woke up Jeff and we ran outside. When we opened the door, the wind was knocked out of me when I saw two huge wolves fighting. And I mean fighting. I recognized the black wolf as Zanan only because I saw his eyes, but the white wolf I had never seen before. You may like epic friendship, duets you never saw coming, her beauty, how to wean off caffeine, don't let it ruin your day, her beauty, Angelina Jolie's jarring new appearance ignites concerns, her beauty, lazy tips on how to eat healthy without dieting, her beauty. The fighting stopped and both wolves looked at me. To say I was scared would be an understatement. I was near passing out when I saw two different eyes looking at me, and before I could say something, the fighting began again. The white wolf pinned Zanan down, biting into his shoulder. Zanan gave a howl of pain and kicked the white wolf off. He got up, limping a bit, but then charged the white wolf. A roar of anger came from the white wolf and I looked down in submission involuntarily, and so did Jeff. Zanan lowered his head as the white wolf stood over him, growling deeper and lower, forcing him to his hunches, head bowed low. And the fight stopped. The white wolf lowered her head and licked at Zanan's wound. He shifted back into human form and he looked drained and tired. I rushed over to him but stopped when the white wolf looked at me. I lowered my head and retreated back. I saw Zanan lifting his hand and stroking the white wolf, then said, "You are amazing and you have my respect." The white wolf stepped back and howled at the sky, keeping her head up a second longer than needed. When she looked down she bowed and shifted. I was standing there speechless and so dumbstruck that I couldn't move, gaping openly at Christy. "What is wrong with you two?" I shouted at them. "And I'm angry now. Is this all you want to do? Is fighting to see who is more dominant?" I asked and walked away, leaving them where they are. Crystal POV. I walked over to my clothes and got dressed. Zanan went behind a tree and got dressed and I walked off to my room, closing my door and taking a shower. He challenged me. I sat down in the shower with my back resting against the shower wall. Why would he do that? He was testing us. For what, Raven? What is it that he wants from us, because I am tired of defending myself against him? I don't know. But it's just his human that is this stubborn. His wolf has already accepted us. I don't know what else to do. I am tired of getting hurt, but I don't want to lose him. My arm where he nipped me is already healed. I finished my shower and got out. As I was dressing, I heard a knock on the door. "Please open up," came Zanan's voice, sounding tired. "Go away, Zanan. I do not have time for this. I told you who I am and you challenged me again. You may like this slice of wedding cake, costs thousands of dollars, but why? Her beauty princess by day, dishwasher, and pilot by night? Her beauty, do these couples make your heart beat faster too? Her beauty, Marissa Dubois, the Instagram model taking over the internet. Her beauty, I'm sorry, and I saw the tattoo. I know you were telling the truth. Please, can we talk?" I decided to scare him and I teleported myself out of my bedroom and into the hallway directly behind him. "What is there to talk about?" I asked and saw him jumping. That scare was so worth it. Seeing his face go as white as a sheet and hearing his heart beat so fast, I can actually see it in his neck. I tried keeping together but couldn't. I toppled over as I laughed and snorted as I inhaled. Holding my stomach, I looked up into his face and he did not look amused, and that made me laugh even harder. "What, Christy? This is not funny," he stated and tried to look serious, but I could see the corners of his mouth lifting. "Oh come on, it is funny," I said, and only received a glare from him. Straightening up, I asked, "What do we have to talk about? It's late and I'm tired." "A lot actually, like what are you?" and the way he said it made me shut up completely. Looking at him, I closed my mouth and looked down. "Can we please do this in the morning? I will explain everything," I asked, and he looked like he wanted to reject, so I gave him the saddest puppy eyes that I could manage. "Don't look at me like that," he half asked, half pleaded. And I just kept on staring. "Fine, in the morning we will talk and you will explain," he said and left. I watched him walk into the room opposite mine and then I went to bed. The next morning, Zanan was waiting for me in his office. I groaned and got up from the breakfast table. Making my way to his office, I received weird stares from wolves and some she-wolves, probably the ones he had with. I knocked on his door and stepped in. I greeted Zane and Kyle and they were both staring at me like I'd grown 3 heads. "What are you staring at?" I asked and they looked away. We saw the fight last night and, by the way, your wolf is huge. Thanks. Why are you here? I asked and looked at Zanan. They are here because they are my second and third and they deserve to know the truth. So, start talking, Crystalia. When he said that, all eyes were on me and I got nervous. I took a deep breath and told my story as best as I could without getting personal. I took a blood sample of the wolf I fought to Paris to have it analyzed by a friend. And as I said, the wolves are being experimented on. Who is this friend of yours? Zanan asked, half accusing me. None of your business. But he couldn't identify the serum, so I went back to my old pack. Why would you go there? Zane asked. To see if my former Luna and Alpha left something for me, and they did. All I found were 2 letters, one from my father and one from the Queen. You may like the 9 secrets every couple needs for a happier relationship. Her beauty, Suri Cruz and Toby. The inside scoop on her rumored romance. Her beauty, you won't believe these actress body overhauls. Her beauty, epic friendship. Duets you never saw coming. Her beauty that got them silent. Zane was staring at me open-mouthed and Kyle was just gaping. The Queen? As in the Queen of Wolves? Zanan said and folded his arms, looking at me skeptically. Yes, and they told me who is hunting us and why, and they also told me who I am. I said and smiled at the way their faces dropped. I told them the story I was told, trying not to give away Zanan's identity too much. Raven, see if you can talk to Blaze without Zanan's knowledge and find out how much he knows. I tried, but his human is blocking him off. I can't get to him. You are stronger than him. Try harder. So you are an experiment, Kyle stated. Yes, but that doesn't make me any less a wolf than it does you or any other wolf. I was born half wolf and half fox. I'm just stronger and bigger and faster. I realized what I had said and saw them jumping up and taking a defensive stance in front of Zanan, growling at me. What is wrong with you? I think you should leave while you still can. We don't want foxes in this pack. Kyle said and was spitting fire at me. Well, that is not up to you, it's up to my mate, I said, and looked at Zanan, who was staring at me with narrowed eyes. Zane and Kyle looked near passing out. Sit down you two and let's get this thing done, Zanan said, and I walked over to the door. Where are you going? Zanan asked. I have something to do and I will be back in a couple of days. Hopefully, then I will have more answers because it seems like you won't be able to give me any. Crystal, you are not leaving until this is sorted out and we know what we are dealing with, because if what you say is true and we are dealing with a mad scientist, then we need all the help we can get, and I hate to admit this, but you are the strongest one here, born or made. It doesn't change the truth. So, have whoever you are going to come here and then we work as a team. I will talk to everyone and increase border patrol and you will help train the wolves with Tommy. Am I clear enough for you? I looked at Zanan and said crystal clear Alpha, and walked out. Never in my life have I been spoken to as a child and I will not allow him to do so. If he wants to speak to me like a child, then I will treat him like an alpha and not a mate. Zane POV. It's been 3 weeks since Crystal told us everything and now the whole pack knows, and they also know that Zanan is her mate, but that is not where everything stopped. Crystal is giving training like Zanan said and we are having our asses handed to us every day. I thought we were well-trained wolves. As it turns out, we didn't even know half of the things we should have known, and now training is brutal. Even Tommy stepped down and is now training with us. Crystal had given no time to Zanan. She is actually treating him like an alpha, and I swear I can see a vein pop in his neck sometimes when she addresses him so formally. She left for about a week and came back looking like crap, and she brought a friend with her. Tyler is nice, but Zanan is ready to rip his throat out because he is sleeping in Crystal's room with her and no one knows he is gay except for me, and that makes torturing Zanan so much more fun. I still have hope of finding my mate. I'm sitting in the middle of the field watching pups play and keeping an eye on Zanan, who is looking at Crystal and Tyler walking and talking and trying to trip each other. Movement caught my eyes as I looked to the left and jumped to my feet, and as I jumped up I saw Crystal running towards me. Great, what now? I asked myself. When she caught up to me she said, "Did you see that?" I almost laughed at her expression but contained myself. "Yes, friends of yours?" I asked, raising a brow at her. She shrugged her shoulders at me and looked in the distance again. I saw her eyes change color and I couldn't help but stare. I know she is half fox and foxes are bad, and I mean the worst. They are sly, aggressive, territorial, possessive, and they love power. But I have seen none of that in Crystal, not even when it comes to Zanan having she-wolves hang off him. She looked at me and her sentence sent shivers down my spine, "Get everyone inside the house, and I mean everyone." And she ran off. I started calling everyone and chasing them into the house. As soon as the last was in, a menacing growl came from the forest. Crystal POV, it's been hell with Zanan these last few weeks and I have no idea if I can do this for much longer. I went to fetch Tyler like Zanan said and he is here now, but I had him move into my room with me. Zanan nearly had a heart attack but I didn't care. I lay in bed every night thinking about him sleeping right opposite me. Tyler takes my mind off a few things most of the time, but when he falls asleep nothing keeps my mind from wandering. Zanan has been playing a game with me, licking his lips or flexing his biceps or speaking in a low husky voice right in my ear whenever we are alone. And then he just leaves, leaving me in my lust-filled thoughts. I took a walk with Tyler just talking and catching up about everything that happened, and I told him everything about my old pack and how I died and came back like this. At first he was ready to murder everyone and then he laughed when I told him what I did to them and I could play with their minds. It started small, him pushing me trying to trip him, but then it became a full-on game. Running away from him, I caught sight of Zanan staring at us and then got tackled to the floor. Tyler landed on top of me laughing as he tried to get up and failed. I saw Zane stiffen and looked in his direction and saw movement not far from here. I got to my feet helping Tyler up and made my way to Zane. When I was sure everyone was safe, I took off but stopped dead when a deadly growl came from the woods. I was still standing shocked when I smelled Zanan beside me and looked over at him. "Are you sure you can do this? I mean, they are not normal wolves." He looked at me and scoffed. I shrugged my shoulders and waited for the wolf to come through, and when he did I wished I was bigger. That thing is huge. It looks like 4 or more wolves morphed, forming one giant wolf. He is black with pitch black eyes and its teeth are almost bigger than my arm. How am I going to do this? I looked over at Zanan and he would never admit this, but he looks just as scared as I feel. Growling and dripping pools of drool, the wolf came at us with a speed I had never seen before and knocked us to the ground and we skidded a few feet away. I looked over at Zanan and saw he was already getting up and he looked angry now. I groaned as I got up from the ground. "Are you okay?" Zanan asked, not even looking at me. "I'm fine." He came charging again and this time I dodged him and kicked at his front leg with all the strength I have, seeing the wolf go down the ground shaking. Zanan shifted and ran up to the wolf and started biting wherever he found a place. The smell of blood and chemicals hit my nose. Third-person POV as Zanan was ripping, Crystal stood there not knowing what to do, as Zanan ripped it healed. "Zanan, stop!" Crystal shouted, but it was too late. Blaze was kicked so hard that he went flying across the field and into a tree. Blaze was just lying there for a good 10 seconds before he got back up on shaky legs. He shook his body and ran back to the wolf who was now waiting for him. Crystal ran to try to stop Blaze, but it was too late. Standing and watching in horror as Blaze was nearly torn apart, something happened to Crystal. Zanan POV Crystal had been getting on my nerves with that guy friend of hers, and it was beginning to piss me off even more when I saw them playing like kids. She was actually laughing, and what I realized was, I had never heard her laugh before and I had never made her laugh either, and at that moment I didn't want her to ever stop laughing. It sounded like music to my ears. A melody meant only for me to hear. When I saw him sneaking up on her while she was watching me, and then they landed on the floor with him on top of her laughing like there is no tomorrow. Teasing her is fun, but if this is how she wants to play, then I can also play. When I saw Zane hurrying everyone inside and Crystal standing staring at the woods, I walked over to her. Whatever is coming is very big by the way he is standing and listening. The growl I heard sent shivers down my spine and made my hair stand up. I will stand with her. I tried to get the attention of that thing so that he didn't harm Crystal, but the more I bit, the faster it healed. I didn't even see the kick coming, but I felt the impact. It took us a second to get up and I was mad and Blaze too. We ran as fast as we could and started attacking. I felt a sharp pain in my side and then again in my left hind leg, and by the time the fog waved over, it was over for me, with one last bite and I was thrown to the ground feeling weaker and weaker. I caught a glimpse of Crystal standing with her hand over her mouth, her face speaking pages worth of emotions. And then a strange glint shone in her eyes and she smiled. And then I saw nothing. Beep, 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 beep. That sound is so annoying. I thought as I went on playing in the field with Crystal holding her stomach. Don't run too far, Jake. Yelling as I chased our little boy deeper into the woods. I saw him running and then I lost him. I looked everywhere and I couldn't find him. I was so sick with worry that I felt physical pain. Jake, where are you, buddy? I shouted and nothing. When I came to the field where I left Crystal, she was no longer alone. Why is this happening? I shouted, but I couldn't even hear myself. The man came closer and I realized it was Zane. Crystal is making out with Zane. Anger and hatred took over and I could feel my heart racing. Crystal tried taking my hand, but I just shook her off and went for Zane. Please wake up, I need you to wake up. Crystal said while looking at me, and I saw a tear roll down her cheek. I made her sad. Why would I make her sad when she is the one cheating on me? Zanan, wake up. I need you to wake up, please. I heard voices and movements but looked back towards the forest. I need to find our son. I tried to wake up like she asked and I couldn't because I was awake, and I needed to look for our son. Crystal POV when I saw Zanan's wolf's lifeless body on the ground and the amount of blood oozing out of him, something snapped in me. I could feel my emotions shift and I became numb to the world and everything that was happening around me. All I could see was red. I shifted, but it somehow felt different than before. I felt lighter and it looked like I was watching the world through a kaleidoscope of colors. Everything looks brighter and the colors are more vibrant than before. When I growled at the beast, I stopped to look around who was there, but I couldn't see or smell anyone, so I growled again and this time I realized that the growl was coming from me. I looked down and saw that my paws were not white but they were a midnight purple. Looking over my back, I saw that my tail was longer and more hairy than before. What happened to me? Can we do this later? We have blood to spill. Excitement rolled through my body and I started attacking the beast from every side, well, not me exactly, but whoever this is. The speed was incredible and the bite strong. I felt tingles rising throughout the creature and then we were under it, ripping at its throat. And the more blood that spills, the more exciting it gets. She gave one more tear at its throat and then ripped it out, getting covered in blood in the process. That was fun, but it's done now. Who are you? And what have you done with Raven? Relax, she is still here. I'm your fox and the name is Roxy, by the way. Wait, what? Girls please, our mate is dying. Came my wolf's plea and reality hit me. Leave him, he doesn't care anyway. Besides, we don't need him. Roxy said with a sassy attitude. Raven growled and Roxy bowed her head. The only reason I let you out was because we needed your help. Do not make me put you back in the box, fox. Even I cringed at the authority in Raven's voice. Roxy scoffed but told me to shift and go help him, and that is what I did. I kneeled next to Zanan trying to cover his wounds with my hands but couldn't. Help! Get Jeff! I shouted and heard a commotion. Please hold on, Zanan. Just a little longer. His name is Blaze. Raven said, and she sounded so sad that a tear rolled down my cheek. Sharing your wolf's emotions is something I never understood, because whatever she feels, I feel even if I don't want to. Sometimes it's a pain because I'm crying about someone who has been hurting me. Blaze's eyes flickered open and he licked my face and then he went limp again. As his tongue touched my skin, 1,000 fireworks went off. Jeff and Zane carried him to the hospital and got started on his wounds right away. When most of the bleeding stopped, Jeff injected him with something to force a shift, and when he shifted, I covered my ears as his screams filled the room. Delia stood next to me holding my hand, assuring me that he would be okay and that he was strong. He was in and out of consciousness until Jeff put him under to stick up his wounds and he looked bad. Half his side was ripped open and he had a gash on his left leg up to his thigh. He had teeth marks stretching from his stomach to his shoulder over his tattoo, splitting it in 3. Zane POV. It's been a week since the attack and Zanan has still not woken up. Crystal has been running the pack with Tyler, making sure everything is okay and everyone is safe. She had almost every wolf move into the house, sharing rooms, and even sleeping in the lounges. All the pups are in one room with her looking over them. No one is allowed to do patrolling and those who do are strictly voluntary. She has been in and out of the hospital and I wish there was something I could do for her because she is doing so much. We had no attacks again and everything seemed rather quiet at the moment. Zane, have you made space for the last of the wolves? I want everyone in this house by tonight. Yes, I have, but I don't think Zanan will be pleased if we use his room. The look Crystal gave me sent shivers down my spine. I jumped up and went to get the room ready so that the last of the wolves can move in today. Delia came in and helped me. We put in extra beds and shifted Zanan's things into Crystal's bedroom for storage. Why do you think he sleeps in this room instead of the Alpha's bedroom? I have no idea. I never asked him about it. Delia shrugged her shoulders and we finished the room. When we were done, the last of the wolves moved in and Crystal called for a meeting. Making my way to the front lawn, I saw every wolf waiting for her. Kyle tapped my shoulders and he looked like I felt. What do you think this is about? I don't know, I said and shrugged my shoulders. Crystal got up and addressed everyone. Crystal POV. I have had a week of hell and I have no help from Zane or Kyle because I'm half fox. They have been giving me hell ever since they found out. I moved every wolf into the pack house for safety and it's better to protect everyone when they are all in the same place. I stopped border patrols and runs just for now, until I can figure out how to keep everyone safe. Zanan hadn't woken up yet and his wounds were healing very slowly. Jeff and Tyler found traces of silver in the wound where the wolf bit him. The wolf's body was taken to the makeshift lab Tyler set up and he was working day and night but still found nothing useful. I have been in between home and the hospital trying to will Zanan awake. I don't know what was happening, but when I took his hand he actually slapped it away and his heart rate went way up. I just hope that he wakes up soon. Raven is in no shape to cope if he stays unconscious for much longer. It has been difficult for me to keep myself upright because Raven is draining all my energy and she is depressed, so now I have Roxy helping me and some days it feels like I can just walk away and not even look back. Zane fixed the room up and the last of the wolves moved in. Zanan can have his bedroom back when he wakes up and if he wants to fight, then I will be ready for him. No, we will be ready for him. He hurt you and he put Raven in depression. Call me cruel, but that is not what you do when you love someone. Why do you even care? You wanted to leave him for dead. You're right, I don't, but you do and Raven does and I want to because I will not go back into that stupid box. Well then, thank you for trying, but I need you to damper my emotions a bit because I want to survive this, please. You know the risk if I did that, right? Yes, and it will not be for long, just enough so that I can get through this alive. It sounded like I was pleading and to be honest I am. Because I don't want to feel the way I do, so helpless and sad all the time. I called for a meeting because I have changed some things. Seeing every wolf looking at me, some with hope, some with respect, others with fear, and then there are those who hate me, but I don't care. I cleared my throat and saw Delia sending me a thumbs up, mouthing you got this. The arrangements will stay the same regarding the living conditions and I promise it won't be for long. Border Patrol has changed as well. Instead of guarding the borders, you will guard the house and the hospital. Until we know what is going on, I want no one to leave this territory for any reason. Warriors, your training will continue with me and Tommy. You will start training women from age 16 and up. I want everyone in this pack to be able to protect themselves. Zane, I want you to assemble a team and your team will guard the hospital. Kyle, same for you and your team will guard the house. I will choose 2 other teams and we will switch every 6 hours. I looked at them and they didn't seem to have objections until Natalie spoke up. I will not do training. Do you know how long these nails took me? I looked at her, anger boiling in my veins. Then you can join Maggie in the kitchen and do whatever she tells you to do. I said and saw her mouth drop. I looked over at Maggie and she had a huge smile on her face and a glint of mischief in her eye. Natalie looked at me and wanted to say something and Raven just lost it. She took over and roared, bringing the whole field to their knees. My mate is in the hospital fighting for his life because he tried to protect you. So you will do what Crystal says or you can leave. Do I make myself clear? A choir of yes went around and Raven retreated to the back of my mind, even Roxy went quiet and the damper broke. All my emotions came back with a rush, but I refused to look vulnerable in front of anyone. I have never heard Raven speak to anyone like this, but we have the blood of Royal Beta in our veins, so our roar is stronger than an alpha. Donovan POV. We'd been looking at the computer screen for hours as the wolf ran off in different directions. The tracker we put on him is a bit more advanced than the others, so we can already see more of the map. I injected this one with the exact same things I once gave Crystal to make her stronger and faster, but it also made her grow bigger than a normal wolf. The dot on the screen stopped moving and I sat on high alert. The territory, or wherever he is unmarked and all I can see is black, but the distance reads 150 miles northwest. Do you know where this could be? I asked Stacy and she looked at the screen and then grabbed a map of the woods and started drawing circles. After a while, she showed me the map and said it is one of those 4 places. She said and pointed towards 4 X's. I looked at the computer screen and the wolf still hadn't moved. At least now I have something to start with. What will you do with them? Avenge my mate and the death of my unborn child. They won't even believe you, Donovan, they will kill you on the spot. That is why I'm trying to find Crystal. My mate was a fox and the moment I found out my heart broke and my world shattered because I helped to kill every fox and the ones that were left went into hiding and died out. We hid her fox and she appeared human. I wasn't ready to kill my mate, not even because of my duty. She got pregnant and Crystal was born. Yes, I did steal her because a female fox shifts at the age of 12 and I couldn't risk anyone finding out, so I have been working on something to surpass her fox and make her wolf dominant and everyone thought I experimented on her. In fact, I was trying to save her life. When she was taken from us, my mate was torn because she had to play along with the queen. I searched everywhere for her for years and I never found her. When my mate got pregnant again, the pack was attacked by rogues and I was badly hurt. The only way she could fight and save my life she had to shift. Her death was signed and sealed. They didn't care that she was pregnant nor did they care that she was my mate. I was seen as a traitor and was thrown from the pack. Everyone has been told lies, even about their own son. What do you mean? You will find out as soon as the war starts and things begin to change. Zara POV I have been trying to keep Donovan off Crystal and Zanan's backs for as long as I could because he will start a war and it will not end well. His mate was my sister, but I got the witch and she got the fox. When she shifted, we tried everything to keep her hidden. I am on no one's side but my own. I agree with Donovan and that the truth should be told, but what will that mean for the rest of the supernatural creatures? Many have died for finding out the truth and blood will be spilled again. Crystal now has to do what she thinks is best for her, and from what I have seen, she can take care of herself and she is born to be a leader. Getting into the territory is easy, but getting into the hospital was almost impossible. I had to use a cloaking spell just to get in. When I stepped into Zanan's room he was alone, so I got to work. I looked at his wounds and they looked bad. For a wolf, he is not healing correctly and the wounds are looking infected. I put my hands over them and slowly started the healing process. It would not heal him immediately, but it would remove the silver from his bloodstream and the wounds would heal. I heard someone in the hallway and cloaked myself without removing my hands, praying for just a second longer. When the door opened, I saw Crystal and she didn't look so good, she looked tired and hopeless. She reaches for Zanan's hand and smiled softly. I can still feel the sparks, but they are weak. Please, Zanan, you have to wake up. I can't do this alone, she pleaded, and my heart reached out to her. I finished my work with Zanan and whispered, "He will be okay, sweetheart." She looked around frantically and I saw a glimmer of hope in her eyes. I kept watching her for a while before I disappeared, going back to observing from the background. Crystal POV since I've been in the hospital and heard the whispering voice, I have some hope again. Seeing Zanan so vulnerable and broken takes a piece of my heart out every day, but it makes me stronger too. I know better that anyone nothing lasts, but I just wish we hadn't fought so much because we could have used that time to get to know one another. I'm sitting in Zanan's office going over some of his work and trying to find a pattern. The packs were not attacked randomly. Every pack, starting with the Blood Moon pack, and then every pack around it ending with my old pack. It forms a perfect circle, so whoever is doing this must be in the middle. A place no one knows about, or would suspect that someone is living there. I laid out a grid of the map and got to work. "Did you know you have healing powers?" Roxy said, and that got my attention. "I have what?" "You have healing hands, don't you know?" "No, how was I supposed to know?" She scoffed at me and said, "Well, good thing I'm out because I cannot take any more of these depressing emotions you and Raven share so freely. Our mate is dying, Roxy. What do you expect from us? Go to the hospital and I will tell you what to do. I guess you never knew because it is my ability, same with teleportation. Only I can use it correctly in the battleground." I dropped what I was doing and made my way over to the hospital. As I walked in, I could hear some commotion and wondered what was going on. I walked over to Jeff and asked him what is going on. He looked up at me and smiled. "Well, I don't know how, but every trace of silver is gone, and I mean out of his system. In the last 3 days, his wounds have healed and there is no sign of any infection, all his vitals are back to normal, so he should be waking up any day now." I listened to Jeff and I couldn't believe it. There is no cure for silver poisoning, at least none that's found. I walked into Zanian's room and I could see that he looked so much better and he got some color back. I walked over to his bed and willed him to wake up. Raven was trying to reach his wolf, but I guess his wolf was still too weak because she gave up and retreated. "Please Zanian, you have got to wake up." I bent down and kissed his lips softly. I left my lips lingering a second longer than necessary and I felt him stir. I pulled my head back and just looked at him. His eyes fluttered open and then shut. He lay there for a good 2 minutes before he opened them and those beautiful green eyes made contact with mine. I was so happy to see them that I couldn't even utter a word. I walked to him again and I crushed my lips to his, feeling the sparks spreading all over my body but lingering on my lips. He groaned but I didn't stop. He gave up and kissed me back, sneaking his hand around my head to pull me closer. I pulled away and laid my forehead against his, breathing deeply. "You will never do that to me again," I said, and he just smiled. Zanian POV, my body feels weird and I have no idea where I am. I have been trying to get home for a while now and every turn I make just leads me back to where I started. I felt hands on my body but couldn't see any, and then the pain started. It feels like my blood is on fire. I screamed but no one seemed to hear because the pain didn't stop. As I lay on the ground screaming from the pain, it started to subside and I could feel a warm hand in mine, but again I couldn't see anything. "Please wake up," I heard, and I started running towards the voice. Why does Crystal sound so broken and tired? "I'm coming, sweetheart, I promise," I said, and kept on running towards the voice. I felt my lips tingle and I gave in to the sensation, knowing I wanted to see her again and feel her, and yes, challenge her. It makes things more fun to see how angry she can get so fast, and she loves a challenge. Beep. 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 There is that sound again. It is really starting to piss me off. I tried opening my eyes and it worked, but I had to shut them again. The light stung and all I'm seeing now is stars. I lay with my eyes closed for a while and then tried again. I opened my eyes and looked right into the most mesmerizing blue ones. Before I could say anything, her mouth came down on mine and sparks erupted all over. I groaned at the movement I made and I'm glad she didn't stop. I put my hand around her head and pulled her closer, kissing her for all the time I missed. She pulled away and laid her forehead against mine. "You will never do that to me again," she said, and it was a broken plea that spoke 1,000 words. She pulled her head back and every emotion was visible in her eyes. Pain, fear, joy, love, hope. Wait, what? Love. I saw love, and when I looked again it was gone. I looked around and saw that I was in a hospital room. Where am I? Crystal looked at me confused for a second before she said, "You are in the hospital, you've been here for a while." I looked at her and tried to remember, and everything came rushing back as if it happened yesterday. The pack. They are safe, Zanan, she said and looked down, fumbling with her fingers. Crystal, what is going on? I asked, trying not to move too much because my body was protesting against every move I made. Well, there have been some changes. You have been in a semi-coma for over 2 weeks, Zanan, and if you couldn't protect yourself, what chance do the others have? So I moved everyone into the main house and pulled back patrols. 24-hour patrol around the house and hospital, shift change every 6 hours. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, so I closed my eyes and told her to get Jeff. Her face fell and she left. I've been stuck in darkness for 2 weeks and now the main house is overcrowded. I don't even want to know where everyone is sleeping. Jeff came in, but he was alone. He looked at me and smiled a big smile. Welcome back, Zanan. Thanks. So over 2 weeks, hey. Jeff nodded his head and got closer to the bed. You had silver poisoning and you weren't healing, so your wounds became infected and then the infection started spreading. You had me worried at one point because your vitals kept dropping, and this morning when I came in the infection was gone, every trace of silver was gone and you healed completely, except for some scarring on your shoulder. I listened to what he was saying. I looked at him and asked about Crystal and what she had done. Jeff, what has she done to the pack? She had no right. Zane should have taken charge. And that was a mistake. You have no right, Zanan. Do you have any idea what that girl went through these last 2 weeks? She did everything she could to keep the pack safe because you didn't. No, you got hurt. She has been up here every day hoping you would wake up, basically willing you to wake up. She has enough from the pack because she is different and the sluts you slept with are making a point in making her life hard. Just be glad that your pack is still standing because if she gets hurt then there will be no pack left. He turned and left and I was left speechless, confused and angry. What happened while I was dying? I got out of the bed and groaned, but I pushed myself to stand up and started making my way to the door. I made my way out of the hospital. Every step I take, I can feel my strength returning but it will take some time to be 100%. I stepped out, sunlight and heat hitting my skin. I took a deep breath, inhaled fresh air and made my way to the house. I heard a very loud screech and knew I had been spotted. I turned around and I couldn't even utter a word because someone smashed their lips against mine. Standing there stunned, I opened my eyes and saw dirty blonde hair and knew that it was Natalie. I tried pushing her off me but she refused and the next thing she was pulled backward so hard that I almost fell forward. I looked up and saw Crystal holding Natalie by her neck and then she looked at me and her eyes were both a mixture of blue and green with a purple lining. I stood there stunned. I looked at Natalie and I could see fear in her eyes. Crystal, please don't do this. I pleaded, but all that got me was a laugh. She is laughing at me. My name is not Crystal, but how could you know because you never even asked? And then I realized her wolf was out and this could end badly. All we did, was protect this pack, all we did was work for approval and you know what, all I wanted was my mate and you have made that impossible for me. So I am done trying and so is Crystal. You broke her enough and now we are saying enough. I took a step forward and looked at Natalie. You are right, but I would like to change that. Just don't kill her please. She looked at me and then said, do you know that I know when you are lying? It's like a bitter taste in my mouth. So you make a choice, Zanan, the life of your slut or your mate. I tried making contact with Blaze but he is quiet because only he can get us out of this. It is his mate. Blaze, buddy, I need your help, so please come out. No Zanan, I am done cleaning your mess with our mate. If you help me I will accept her Blaze. Then the choice should be easy Zanan. Blaze, please. Was the last thing I said and the blaze took over. I felt my eyes change. Crystal POV. When I left the hospital, I went to clean up Zanan's office so that at least one thing is the same for when he decides to come home. I moved his things to his office so that he could sleep there. We had a wall cleared and a bed put in so he would be okay. I was on my outside when I felt a sting in my heart and I knew what was happening. I made my way outside and saw Natalie kissing Zanan and I just lost control. Roxy and Raven took over, blocking me from taking control. I could hear everything and see everything through their eyes. When Zanan marked us, I was shocked to say the least, because never in my life have I thought that this day would happen, but Blaze marked me, declaring me as his mate and Luna. I stood there looking around and everyone was looking at me, some shocked and some looked scared, of me. I looked down and saw that Natalie had already got up from the ground, looking at me with fear visible in her eyes. I looked over at Zanan and he looked like a statue. He tried to say something but ended up closing his mouth. I walked closer to him and he took a step back, putting his hands up as if trying to stop me from coming closer. Zanan was all I said and he just shook his head at me and said, "You tricked Blaze into marking you, forcing me to accept you and now there is no going back. How could you?" I looked at him stunned and speechless, every piece that was left of my heart broke. "Do you want me as your mate Zanan? And please don't lie." I stared at him for a good few seconds before he said, "You knew that I didn't, but my wolf wants you, so I guess I'm stuck with you. Besides, I have already marked you and you marked me." I looked up at him, my heart breaking. Raven was clawing at the back of my mind but I blocked her out. I Crystal Stone Royal Beta of Low Valley Kingdom reject you Zanan Black as my mate. I felt my heart break and my mark started to burn. I heard gasps and some whispers but I didn't care anymore, I was done being a punching bag. Zanan groaned in pain and I knew his mark was burning as much as mine. He looked at me, "What have you done? I gave you what you wanted, because I am done being a punching bag. My first mate killed me and buried me, Zanan, but not even that was as painful as looking at your face every day is, knowing that you don't want me. My wolf is strong and she will survive, and I have my fox. She can take away my emotions. I have done everything I could for you and now I am done. You want your slut, well, now you can have her. I never wanted this crystal, and if you know why, then you will understand." "I know why, Zanan. You see, the one thing I can do is I can see memories and I saw what happened to you, that is why I gave you space and tried giving you time, but every day is like you set out on rubbing salt into my wounds and now you have done it." "You did what?" "Yes, shout at me again, kill me if you want. I tried to understand you but that is never going to be good enough. So goodbye Zanan." I said and turned around to walk away when Zanan spoke up, "I didn't know you were from the royal pack, and you have been lying to me since the day you came here, so why should I believe you now? I never once lied to you, Zanan, and I never once even tried to. I lied about my name because I was looking for the second wolf and then I found you and you are the second wolf. But I never once lied to you, you never took the time to ask me the right questions. And then I walked off. Looking over my shoulder, I said, your pack should be safe. I will lead whoever is behind this away from here. I saw a lot of faces drop and some pups crying because even though I didn't know them long, I formed a bond with each of them. Tyler POV I wasn't there to protect Crystal the first time, but I'd be damned if I do nothing now. Watching her and seeing her in this much pain was why I left after her parents died. She is like a sister to me and has been my whole life, and the one thing that is the most painful in this world is seeing the one you love being hurt. I looked at Zanan, who was still just standing there, and walked off to go and find Crystal. I found her packing her belongings and I could see she had been crying. I walked up behind her and threw my arms around her. "I'm so sorry, honey," I whispered into her ear, and she spun around crying her heart out, soaking my shirt with all her tears. I picked her up, sitting down on the bed with her in my arms. Leaving her to cry all her pain out, I smelled Zanan by the door and then he was gone. As soon as Crystal calmed down, I asked her, "Why don't you come live with us for a while? See? You can still do your thing, but only now do you have backup and support, a whole pack willing to help you." She looked at me and gave me a small smile and said, "I would love that, but I have to do this on my own. I do not want anyone getting hurt because of me." "No one will get hurt because you are one creature and one of a kind. One that is not very popular or very well liked. It doesn't matter what everyone says or thinks, because I know you are good and know that you will never harm anyone. But what I cannot get over is the fact that you are a royal beta." "Since when?" She laid her head back on my chest and told me the story of how she got to know the truth. And that she met with the king and queen. We finished packing her things and in total she only had 2 bags. "I just want to go say goodbye to Zane and them," she said and left the room. I took her bags downstairs and waited for her to come back. I heard some things smashing as I made my way down and I figured that Zanan was losing his again. As I came to the bottom of the stairs, I was stopped by Kyle. "Is she going with you?" he asked, half accusing me, and I don't even know of what. "Yes, she is. My mate is already fixing a room for her as we speak." "Why?" I saw his face lighting up and I was confused. "So you have a mate?" I looked at Kyle funny and said yes, and his name is Chris. And then he just started laughing and then he walked off, leaving me confused. A while later, Crystal came back. She took a bag and took my hand. Just before she could get us out of here, Zanan was screaming at the top of the stairs. He came running down and said, "Please don't go. I'm sorry and I will make it up to you." She left my hand and took a step closer. "You said all that already, Zanan, and I am done. I don't believe you. And you broke my heart and made me cry more than I have in all my life. Please, Blaze is going to go insane when he finds out you left and it's my fault." "Well then, just don't let him come out, and you are right because this is your fault. I was willing to make things work and I worked off to prove to you and some of these pack members that I can be someone they can look up to, but no one even gave me a chance, and them seeing you treating me the way you do, gave them a free pass to do the same. So I am done. I don't need to prove myself to anyone and certainly not you." She took my hand again and we were gone. A second later, we were standing in front of my pack. We walked into the house and everyone greeted her as if she belonged there. Chris came running down the stairs and tackled us both to the floor. "I have missed you, and you. Welcome back." Crystal went straight to bed and Chris was left not knowing how to feel except heartbroken. She did something that no wolf has ever dared to do. She rejected her mate after he marked her. A normal wolf would have died from the pain. I don't even want to know how much pain she is in. Crystal POV. As soon as the door closed, I let the pain wash over me, trying not to scream out. Saying goodbye to Delia and Zane was harder than the rest. In all my time there I have grown close to them, and seeing them angry with tears running down their faces from sadness was the hardest thing for me. Raven is mourning her mate and she is not talking to me now. But she will be okay and I will be okay. I took a shower and climbed into bed, letting the darkness fall over me. I was asleep for about half an hour when I had this funny feeling in my stomach and ripped out the papers I took from Zanan's office. I checked the patterns again and then it all made sense. I folded the paper and ran down the stairs. It was still early, just before 8 o'clock in the evening, so Tyler was still up. I laid the paper on the dining room table and switched on the light. Tyler came in and looked at me with a raised brow. "What are you doing in here?" I looked at him and showed him the map and notes I made. "Look at this, and tell me what you get," I said and moved out of the way. He was looking at the map as if it would just magically tell him what he was looking for. I waited patiently and then I stepped forward, laying my hands on the map and pointing at the Blood Moon pack. "This is the only pack they have attacked looking for Zanan, all the other packs have been attacked because he is looking for me." "Who is he and why do you think he is looking for you?" "When I went to the Queen she told me about my biological parents, and about my father, who killed my mother, and now I think he is looking for me." "Why would he be looking for you? See and start talking sense." "I don't know, but think about it. My father was a highly qualified scientist and he was the head beta for the Royal Pack. And all of a sudden, every pack is attacked by superwolves and I'm the only one who is not hurt, or killed." "Okay, but that doesn't mean anything. See, you are stronger than anyone I have ever seen or met." "Yes, but still, I saw a man's face when I was fighting that wolf that put Zanan in the hospital. And I feel like I know that face. And at that moment I knew what I had to do. I need to find him, Tyler," I said, and pulled the map closer to me. "If I cannot pinpoint the location, I can make it easier for him to find me." Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.